Now we return you, your host.
All right. Keith Brothers is my guest today, and Keith, you keep reinforcing my contention that God's alive and well on the internet. Now, I didn't talk to you before this morning. I didn't tell you what we were going to be playing. I didn't tell you what I was going to be talking about. And I bring up Ithaca Hours, and you've already got the creator of that book for your show tonight. And you might tell people when that is, where they can find you. And I've corrected your whole links to constitutionclub.me. All of that's up there and available.
The show is tonight. It's called the Friends of Liberty radio show. You can access the show by going to http://www.blogtalkradio.com/Friends of Liberty. The guest again is Paul Glover. The show will start at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. He'll be on for about an hour and a half. And he, like I said, he is probably one of the most knowledgeable people on alternative currency. If you don't mind, Clay, I have an interview that I can share with everyone. It's an interview with Gary Franchi of the Restore the Republic organization, who is interviewing the founder of the Mountain Hours in Breckenridge, Colorado. His name is Wayne Walton. Would you mind if I went ahead and turned on that short interview?
No, I don't mind at all. I've sent an email to Wayne, and I've already got pictures of his money up on the Free American. It's since that's closer to me in Texas than Ithaca, New York. I figured, and the way he's setting it up, no reason the Liberty Village concept and the co-op can't use that, take that money as in payment, rather than using the Federal Reserve notes. I mean, how are we going to oppose the Federal Reserve if we keep carrying their notes around in our pockets? Go ahead.
That's right. Let me go ahead. Here we go.
Every week, the Federal Reserve creates billions of dollars out of thin air and lends them out at interest to banks, including foreign banks, with offices located in the United States. Literally hundreds of billions of dollars have been pumped out by the Fed in the name of economic stimulus. The result is that favored institutions and elites get the first use of that newly created money, while the rest of us see the value of our paychecks, our savings accounts, and our pension funds diminish through inflation. If inflationary stimulus can create prosperity, why isn't Zimbabwe the richest country on earth? If the fiat dollar is obviously sound, why do legal tender laws compel us to use it for transactions? Are there any realistic alternatives to the depreciating dollar? We'll examine these questions with Wayne Walton, a monetary reform advocate and creator of a local interest-free currency called Mountain Hours. Wayne, welcome to the program. Every Federal Reserve note describes itself as legal tender for all debts, public and private. Does this mean that a fiat dollar is an instrument of debt rather than an actual instrument of value?
Yes, I would say so. I mean, ultimately, money by definition is an IOU. It's something created when, let's say, for instance, you make bread and I make wheat. Now, you can make bread all year long, but I can only make wheat during the harvest season. So in order for us to have a order in the off-season, I got to feed my family, of course. We try to execute a barter. I would issue you an IOU in the wintertime that I'll deliver to you a bushel of wheat upon the harvest. So that, because we're both producers, we can barter. Now, that IOU that I write to you is sound because that is written by the producer. The big problem that we have with our monetary system is that that IOU is being written by non-producers, and they also put the fee called interest or usury on it.
So you're basically saying that the Federal Reserve note is an IOU note?
Yeah, it's an IOU, but it's being issued by producer, what value does the private reserve produce? So what they're doing is you have a non-producer issuing the IOU for producers, and that's the fundamental flaw along with the usury aspect.
Now, can you tell us a little bit more about how you became aware of this fact and the fraudulent money in the debt system?
In 2008, with the bailouts, the natural consequence of that was that I thought there was going to be inflation, so I deeply investigated the Federal Reserve, found out it was private, found out that FDR actually turned the gold over to the private Federal Reserve, not to the U.S. Treasury, in his executive order, lots of people are familiar with that. Now, what that determines to me is that is a bankruptcy. Whenever there's a bankruptcy, the debtor, meaning the United States, turned its assets over to the creditor. The creditor was the Federal Reserve. Therefore, the United States is not a sovereign nation.
Wayne, does it appear to you that foreign investors and lenders are becoming uneasy about the United States dollar as a store of value?
Well, yeah, you turn the TV on, all it is fear. And, when any time societies are guided by fear, bad things happen, and that's being done by deliberate purpose to hurt us into solutions that do not serve us.
Wayne, during the last Great Depression, there were a number of locally issued currencies that actually competed with the Federal Reserve note or the U.S. dollar. Is something like this happening now?
Yes, absolutely. That was very lucid of you saying that. During the Great Depression, money was scarce. The banks closed and there wasn't enough money. 3,000 local currencies were created organically because when the bank doors close, people still want to trade. So they start trading and they realize that trade is difficult because you need to find a dance partner. So to alleviate that, they create the technology called money to facilitate the barter. And that barter script, there's 3,000 of them during the Great Depression.
Now, you have an alternative currency of your own, Mountain Hours. What was your inspiration for creating it, and could you explain in very simple terms how the whole system works?
The inspiration for it was that when you dig down deep and you find out what the law of economics is, for thousands of years, both Jews, Christians, and Muslims all forbid usury on money creation and lending. In addition to that, natural law of Socrates and Plato and Cato, they all forbid usury as well. So this ancient wisdom is something that we are not obeying anymore. All of our money is created as a debt with interest. So the motivation was to create a currency that's based upon the real basics of just barter. Mountain Hours is barter script. We literally just give the currency away 20 hours for any local independent business. And what it does is it flips the pyramid of centralization of power, and it returns the power to the producers locally so that we form our own independent economic system that facilitates trade and abundance among local businesses. The currency does not work at any of the big box stores. So simply the businesses raise their hand, we give them 20 hours, which is equivalent to $200. That creates a directory of businesses that accept the currency for all or a portion of their transaction. In addition to that, any individual on the planet can refer a business into the barter network, and they earn 10 hours that they can spend too. So what's happening is we're rewarding everybody who participates in this system of independence. So a referring individual and the businesses themselves all create currency with their energy. So we basically decide what we value, local independence, people participating in the system, along with the expansion of the system of independence. So we create those referral hours along with the hours that the businesses themselves circulate.
So Wayne, you're in Breckenridge, and I know that this currency, the Mountain Hours currency, is currently circulating in Breckenridge. You mentioned that you had a meeting with the mayor recently about with the legalization of cannabis in the state of Colorado as well as Breckenridge. How is Mountain Hours playing into that?
Well, I just want to be clear that there was a BBC news coverage of the Breckenridge mayor talking about Breckenridge becoming the new Amsterdam of the North America. There's lots of independents here in Summit County, even before the state of Colorado legalized marijuana. Breckenridge itself had decriminalized that 3 years ago. Breckenridge has this heritage called the Kingdom of Breckenridge that up until 1938 it was off the maps and regarded as somewhat sovereign territory. And they respect that idea even today with the Chamber of Commerce having a week called Kingdom Days. This independence idea is something that's setting up here with Mountain Hours, creating a local economic system. In the article that I alluded to before, the medical marijuana dispensary accepts Mountain Hours. So this is a way by which it creates independence, because one of the big things that the bankers crack down on the medical marijuana businesses is that they won't allow them to use credit card vending processes. So that's a way that they're cracking down with, the establishment cracks down with on medical marijuana in Colorado is through the monetary system. So by establishing this alternative monetary system, it allows them to conduct trade independently.
Wayne, where else are Mountain Hours accepted in Breckenridge or perhaps even beyond the city limits?
Well, it's actually it's a county currency. Mountain Hours is for all of Summit County, so there's roughly 30,000 people here. Bill Still of Money Masters and several other documentaries was here 2 weeks ago. He actually earned Mile High hours down in Denver. He brought that currency up here, and then he traded that currency out into Mountain Hours 1 for 1. And then he went around and spent that at, roughly 10 businesses here in Summit County.
Now, you often describe our current system as false, as a phony capitalism. What do you mean by that?
The very word usurpation is, the root word of that is usury. And what I mean by that is any system of government, any system of economics, any human relationship whereby usury is permitted, usury or the private money system will usurp or supplant the natural human sovereignty in those relationships. And that's what's going on now. And just for instance, if you think of the peace movement evaporated as soon as Obama was elected, right? So it's a counterfeit of an honest movement. It's an honest thing to have peace on earth. The problem is usury usurps that intention because the money power is the real sovereign. So in order for humanity to become the sovereign, we have to eliminate usury.
Now, other alternative currencies are circulating across the world. One of them is called Bitcoin, a digital currency. Are you familiar with it? What are your thoughts?
I'm familiar with it, and I like alternative currency, so that's a good idea. The problem that I find with it is, compare that with Mountain Hours. Within Bitcoin, only elite, people who have elite computers are able to create Bitcoins. So the problem is with that is the elite who already have all the money, all of the power, all the computer processing capability, they're the ones that are issuing the currency. In our system, any producer whatsoever can produce the currency, so it puts humanity as the highest source of value. We believe human beings are the highest source of value, not high processing computers.
Wayne, you recently recently opened up another alternative currency in Clearwater, Florida. Could you share with our viewers how they could learn more about Mountain Hours, or perhaps establishing their own alternative currency system in their town to benefit local businesses?
Absolutely. I just completed a book on Amazon. It's only $3. It's called Our HOUR Money Jubilee, and it's basically a training manual for people to understand local currency, because this is a replicatable system that we could create anywhere on the planet, because everybody knows what an hour is. And because of that, if we set these up as franchises across the planet, we can trade our local, our energy, our goods and services without the parasitism of usury.
All right, stop it right there.
Okay, that's
it.
it.
All right,
Yep, that's it.
I would like to get in touch with both of these people that you're going to have on. If you could get me numbers or give them my numbers. I never give out phone numbers. The only people I share my phone numbers with here are my producers. And I'd like to have both the Mountain Hours guy that we just listened to on my show. I've got days open after the middle of July here, and so if you can help me with that, Keith, I'd appreciate it. And by the way, one of the important thing is education, and we've added at Timothy Bible College. We're adding courses on this, on canning, on preparing food, storing food, and how you can turn your backyard into a garden without plowing it up, without destroying the soil. A lot of earlier, I believe on this channel, some people were talking about how the soil has been depleted, and
well, isn't there also, can you also do what they call hydroponics, where you can basically grow things up with hydroponics? Are you familiar with that system?
It might cost a little bit more money to turn your backyard to add what I would like to see. Personally, I don't want to see a bunch of fish in a fish tank. I'd like to see the tapia or whatever they're growing, whatever is prospering, whatever they're using now in our fish sandwiches. I'd like to see them swimming through a nice little creek in the backyard, fertilizing the plants. If you're on a ranch and you've got other people there, have the thing. The creek flowing through everybody's home, so the fish are pretty much the way they should be. They're fertilizing the plants. Aquaponics is a great system. It just costs a little bit more to set up rather than going out and just sprinkling seeds and wood chips in your backyard. But I'd like to see that happen.
There are several cities. Well, there are several cities here in California that have community plots of land that have been set aside for the use of the community, where they have a community garden, so that people can come down there and stake out a small claim of land to grow various vegetables and this sort of thing. Do you have some of that going on in Texas as well right now?
I frankly don't know. I haven't been. I was in a 40-year exile in Texas, from Texas. And I've just come home again, so I'm still getting out. I'm not getting out. I've relocated down to Corpus Christi. I thought living in the body of Christ would be a good place to grow old in, and I'm still considering Colorado. We've been thinking about getting a little bit more land and. To do what I would like to do in Colorado, I can't do in Texas. But this whole Liberty Village concept and what you're doing, I mean, in the Liberty Village concept, I'm also suggesting that we can get all of our education without sending our schools to Columbine or to Sandy Hook or to any other place where they can kill our kids. I'd like to I'd like to see Timothy Bible College and the Little Red Schoolhouse become an integral part of the Liberty Village Co-op that we're putting together right now. And if you can give me those phone numbers for the people, we'll incorporate the mountain hours into the co-op. And now, what do you think about this? What we just listened to about we kept hearing from all kinds of sources on the internet that the currency is going to crash. They're going to crash the currency. The bankers are going to crash the currency, and I can see now how that would happen. Well, turn your dollars in. Turn your dollars in. Turn your dollars in now. And I think that's turn your dollars in. That's what they're going to try to do to us. So how do we protect ourselves from that? I think the mountain hours are the way to do that. And yeah, that's right. By the way, back to Eden. Rick just
another thing.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, right there.
Well, another thing, Clay, is that I think, frankly, one of the important things to do too is to realize the fact. I think it was Brigham Young who many years ago made the statement that there's going to come a time when it'll take a pound of gold in order to buy a pound of bread. And that having food storage is obviously something that would be very, very important because no matter where the value of the dollar goes in the future, or if the dollar even continues to exist, food is something that is going to be extremely important and extremely valuable to have. And so I think as far as an investment is concerned, some people say, well, you ought to invest in gold or you ought to invest in silver or whatever. I think one of the best things you can invest in is something that you know you're going to need, which is food.
I think so too. And that's what we're trying to do here. Now, if we do this ain't like working on a farm. We're talking about a cooperative effort. And I'm going to do flyers for people. When you sign up, we'll give you 50 flyers when you enroll in a co-op. Then you got access to all the information I've developed over the last 20 years of researching. And I think part of this, folks, is going to be energy. Now, we can use solar and we can use wind. We can buy the solar in rolls, the film in rolls from overseas, probably. And it's, I think it's going to be energy too. Do you know why we don't have magnetic generators sitting in our garages right now?
Well, I'm sure that it's because the people that are in the highest positions of finance don't want that.
That's right. It is against federal law. They won't give you a patent. They call it a perpetual motion machine. And it's against federal law to produce that. They consider that a threat to our economy.
Now, when you say our economy, are you talking about the bank's economy? Or
I'm talking about the banks.
Economy?
The banks, the politicians, I call them international banksters. They are a criminal cartel. They are controlling our money, and they have been for 100 years. And by the way, they started those fusion centers. Trimjar talked about the fusion centers. They started those when they had Senate Bill 1959. 1959, outlawed homegrown terrorists. And that's what they use to start the fusion centers. Anybody that is supporting the Constitution, anybody that is trying to oppose these international banksters are targets. And we've known about that for years. I've been on the red list for years. It's one of the reasons I don't fly. It's let's hear a little bit more because what he's now. I've said I really I've got a long memory, and I've said I really like this system, this computers and all that. I like it better than the first century. And how do we make this? How do we put this to use? Now, if this man is right that we've been listening to, talking about the death of the dollars, and a lot of your financial experts have been talking about the Fed killing the dollar, and if we if somebody mentioned one of these counties, Los Alamos County, the Trinidad area in Colorado, they're trying to say you can't grow that. And of course they'll do that. They'll come in and tell you you can't have chickens in your backyard. You can't dig up your backyard. You can't put a garden in here without the government coming in to inspect your tomatoes. And they just have to know that if they want to come in and inspect my tomatoes, they're going to have to chip in and become a part of the fertilizer that we use.
Well, they might have to inspect your shotgun too.
Yes, yeah, man. Check it out, boys. And I've gone through this. I mean, I've already gone through this. They were going to put a meter on my well. I said, "What are you trying to do? Get somebody killed?" Somebody comes in here, steps foot on my property, and walks towards that well. I think they're getting ready to poison it, and I will bury them in the backyard. So, this is, where is your line in the sand? If you can't grow your own food, if you can't have a goat instead of a dog, then there's something wrong there. Something wrong there. And we got to, if you want to take back your freedom, folks, we're giving you a way to do it. It's not, this isn't just I'm just reporting on this, but what I commented on, what we're commenting on now, will have an effect. We'll see it have an effect in 10 years, in 5 years, in 2, maybe by the end of this year. Let's go back to the death of cash here and see what he's got to say.
I urge you to prepare right away. The death of cash in America isn't just on the horizon. For many people, it's already here. Consider this. Last year, Madison, Wisconsin banned drivers from mailing in cash for any and all payments. If you're dropping off trash at the dump in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, don't bother bringing cash. As the sign says, absolutely no cash will be accepted. As of February 1st, 2012, the Maryland State Comptroller's Office outlawed all cash payments at branch offices statewide. But it gets worse. Thanks to State Bill RS 37, 1866, you can now be arrested in Louisiana for paying for secondhand items with cash. As the final version of this bill reads, a secondhand dealer shall not enter into any cash transactions in payment for the purchase of junk or used or secondhand property. The civic government of Discovery Bay, California has also voted to ban cash. As the Contra Costa Times reports, the Discovery Bay Community Services District Board voted this week to ban cash transactions for all services, including water bills and park reservations. Businesses, too, have joined the cashless craze. Washington, D.C.'s Snap Cafe no longer accepts cash for coffee or any other item on the menu. And stop in at the trendy Cafe Grumpy in New York City and enjoy a cappuccino, but don't bother with your wallet. This all-American eatery doesn't take cash either. But not only are local businesses banning cash, The biggest company in America, one of the biggest on earth, has gotten on board. During a recent iPad product launch, Apple quietly instituted a new policy. It would ban cash for all purchases of the new gadgets. The idea was to speed up purchases and enforce the company's limit of 2 units per customer. Luckily, cash users can always take their money to the bank, right? Well, not anymore. When even banks are turning away cash, I believe we're reaching a tipping point in this historic move away from physical money. Take a look. In early 2012, Lakeport, California resident Robert Somerton found himself humiliated, turned away, and detained by police. This hard-working firefighter's crime? Trying to use cash to pay the mortgage at his local Bank of America. And Somerton is not alone. Countless other Americans are showing up at banks, government offices, and businesses only to have their cash rejected. CBS Sunday Morning's report says it clearly. A cashless society is not only inevitable, but for most of us, it's already here. But these incidents represent the calm before the storm. Very soon, the Federal Reserve will make an historic move away from cash
and toward electronic money. It will accelerate the shift to a cashless America to light speed. Some investors will get killed and others will get very rich. So how will it unfold and what does it mean to us?
Our research into the 2,699-year history of money has revealed a distinct pattern. In almost all cases, major monetary shifts occur in 3 phases. Phase 1 is denial and disruption. The herd goes into denial about what's happening. They cling to that denial even as the new money begins disrupting and transforming the economy. Those who don't adapt get crushed or left behind. We're entering this phase now. As we've seen, our government is creating new electronic money 162 times faster than physical cash today. It has already fueled everything from the real estate bubble to the crash of 2008. But these were just the first warning signs. Phase 2 is profusion. The new money gains acceptance. People discover that it's easier to exchange, transport, and store. The government responds by exploding the money supply and government spending. The idea is simple. Fuel spending, spur economic growth, and increase government control of the economy. Phase 3 is acceleration. In the final stage, the new money accelerates the exchange of goods, services, and ideas throughout the economy. Over time, this also transforms the economy and civilization itself. Remember what happened when coins burst on the scene along the Mediterranean some 2,700 years ago? As Yale's Robert Shiller writes, the 2 benefits of electronic money stand out and will likely contribute to its growth. Most important, it will have profound intellectual benefits by creating incentives for the active pursuit of ideas. Second, electronic money will advance globalization, expanding the scope and versatility of the internet, making it easier for people to interact constructively with others around the world. Taken together, these 2 benefits will enable millions of minds to work together far more effectively than ever before. When you multiply such efficiency over billions of people and trillions of transactions, efficiency explodes. According to the British Financial Services Authority, electronic payments process in about 1/7 of 1 second, or about 130 milliseconds. The average cash transaction takes 33.7 seconds. Merely switching to electronic money can accelerate transaction times by 25,823%. That's why you can already see direct evidence of the death of cash almost everywhere you look. For example, you may already use MasterCard products, but the company just launched a new product called PayPass. You can download it on your smartphone right now. Next time you visit McDonald's, Home Depot, Best Buy, 7-Eleven, or thousands of other stores, leave your MasterCard in your wallet. Simply wave your phone over the scanner and voila. This new innovation is one reason MasterCard processes a new electronic payment every 130 milliseconds. That's about 1/3 of the time it takes to blink your eye. Visa processes 150 million cashless payments a day, and the number is soaring. That's 80 billion per year. On Visa's busiest day, it handles over 200 million payments. Over the next 12 months, an estimated $6.3 trillion in purely electronic money will flow through VisaNet's system.
As these international players expand their services worldwide, the death of cash in all currencies will follow. You can already see evidence of the coming shift from Europe to Africa, Asia to the Middle East, from big cities to rural villages. The death of cash will mark the first truly global monetary event of our lifetimes. Its impact will range far beyond our borders.
So what's happening here in the U.S.? Well, on July 30th, the Fed will deliver what I consider to be a shocking announcement, and it will trigger the final stages of the greatest event in financial history, the death of cash in America. I've confirmed everything with my sources at Treasury and at the Federal Reserve, and the time to prepare is now, because if you learn anything from walking the halls of power here in Washington, you know one thing: the Federal Reserve is on the tip of everyone's tongue. It has grown more powerful than ever before.
During the crisis of 2008, who was in the room with President Obama as events unfolded? Who strong-armed Bank of America into buying Merrill Lynch? Who pumped hundreds of billions in pure electronic cash into the economy without ever having to clear it with the president or Congress? Only one man has that kind of power now, and his name is Ben Bernanke, chairman of the Federal Reserve. With the shift away from physical money, Bernanke has found a new source of power, the digital printing press. He can now create as much new money as he wants with a few strokes on a computer. As Bernanke himself said in a report by the Wall Street Journal, the private banks have accounts with the Fed, much the same way that you have an account in a commercial bank. So to lend to a bank, we simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account that they have with the Fed. It's much more akin to printing money than it is to borrowing. As economist Harley Hahn writes, the Fed doesn't really have the money, the Fed just makes it up. After the financial crash of 2008, the Fed made up about $1.25 trillion on its computer. It pumped that electronic money into the banking system and received treasury bonds in return. Armed with cash, the banks could now lend out 10 times the amount of electronic money they received. Now, how is that possible? The Fed only requires banks to have $10 in their vault for every $100 they lend. With each new loan, new electronic money is created along with new debt. Can you see how this has helped to create cycles of boom and bust, everything from the tech wreck to the housing boom and bust to the crisis of 2008? The problem is there's very little that we can do about it. Thanks to the bizarre wording of the 1913 Federal Reserve Act, Mr. Bernanke operates without direct oversight from Congress or the President. He has assumed almost total control of the money printing in this country, using nothing more than a computer and a keyboard.
The death of cash marks an enormous change. I believe it amounts to a monetary coup d'etat. The Fed has seized almost total control of our money supply without any checks or balances. From here, it's free to pump hundreds of billions of dollars per year into any sector, business, or economy it wishes.
With the first two rounds of QE after the 2008 crisis, the Fed added more than $2.1 trillion to the electronic money supply.
But now Mr. Bernanke is preparing to do something unprecedented, even by his standards. He has vowed to begin printing 40 billion electronic dollars every 30 days without limits, no matter how long the program takes. And that's in addition to the Fed's standing policy of pumping $45 billion a month into the mortgage bond markets.
As the Financial Times reports, combined with its purchase of long-dated treasuries under the Operation Twist program, the Fed will be buying assets at a pace of $85 billion a month. Unlike previous programs, the Fed's third round of quantitative easing, nicknamed QE3, does not have a defined limit and will continue until the labor market improves. As Bernanke said when he announced the new program, there is not a specific number we have in mind. And since then, he has updated his stance. Now, Mr. Bernanke says he'll keep the electronic printing presses running full speed until unemployment reaches 6.5%. But at current rates, that could take years. Meanwhile, what's happening to our money supply? Well, the answer, the percentage of cash already in the single digits, is vanishing before our very eyes. The idea is to pump the economy back to life with pure electronic money. And I believe it will eventually work by creating the next great bubble.
On the surface, we will see all these electronic dollars driving stocks, real estate, and commodities through the roof. Vast fortunes will be made, but we'll also see gut-wrenching downturns followed by yet greater highs. As the Fed's master plan unfolds, our old cash-based economy will finally disappear. In its place, we'll see the rise of the cashless society.
According to our intelligence, the Fed will confirm this at its July 30th meeting in Washington, D.C. I believe the announcement will lead to huge new cycles of boom and eventually bust. We'll see raging bull markets followed by gut-wrenching bears. We'll see housing rebounds and housing swoons. We'll witness steeper hills and valleys across almost all markets than ever before. But long term, we could also see the creation of whole new areas of knowledge, new industries, new civilizations. We might even live to see the world's first trillionaire. The only question that remains is, how can you prepare now to protect your family and even profit as the shift unfolds? Here's everything you need to know. For starters, you need to understand what the Fed is doing with all that electronic money. And it is pumping trillions into the already bloated market for U.S. Treasuries. The false demand is creating an historic bubble on the verge of collapse. If you have exposure to benchmark 10-year or longer-term bonds, I suggest getting out now. Shift your portfolio to shorter-term securities maturing in 1 to 5 years. When the bubble explodes, it will wipe out trillions of dollars in wealth, and you'll save yourself a 30% to 50% haircut. What's ironic and tragic is that so many individual investors have gotten sucked into the lie that treasuries are risk-free. But as with cash, they are sitting on a financial time bomb, and when it blows, it will take down millions of investors and probably some big Wall Street banks too. The cashless revolution will bring countless threats and challenges. A cashless world would mean the death of financial privacy. Governments and private corporations alike would have complete access to every transaction we make, where, who, and what was purchased. Inflation could run rampant as each new wave of electronic money undermines the last. We could see reverse bank runs, with customers storming banks trying to turn in their cash. Things will no doubt get very, very strange and quickly. In the coming days, we'll monitor these threats and advise our readers every step of the way, but more urgently, we've developed a simple 5-step plan that you can start using today. It will help you protect your family and profit handsomely as events unfold. Let's take a closer look at it now. Step number 1, secure your personal money supply with gold, the owner's manual. Of all the solutions to the problems we'll face from the death of money, one stands above all the rest. If you use this investment properly, it can protect you from market volatility, inflation, lack of privacy, confiscation of cash, and all the rest. I'm talking, of course, about gold. But here's the problem. I meet with hundreds of individual investors every year at conferences around the world, and I estimate that more than 85% of investors are going about gold investing all wrong. In fact, by owning gold for the wrong reasons and in the wrong amounts, you could be adding risk to your portfolio. That's why we've created our brand new investment guide called Gold, the Owner's Manual. This full-length manual outlines a precise plan for owning and profiting from gold. You'll discover our proven strategy for investing in the yellow metal. We'll show you precisely what percentage of your portfolio should be in gold for maximum safety and profits. And you'll discover the best gold investments to own now as the depth of cash takes hold. This guide lays out a simple game plan. It will show you how to own gold, how much to hold, right down to our recommended investments. And I'd like to send you a copy of this blockbuster gold guide for free today. Step number 2, let the Fed fund your retirement. I've already shown you how the world's central banks are going wild, adding trillions in the electronic money supply. So the question is, what is the most direct way to safely collect some of that easy money for your own portfolio? Well, just follow the money. The Fed is using most of that money to buy treasuries and mortgage bonds, also called mortgage-backed securities. When the Fed creates artificial demand for mortgage bonds, it drives bond prices up, but interest rates down. It's working. The Fed is driving down interest rates to historic lows, and that's keeping rates low for home buyers. and profits are now exploding for a small niche market within the banking sector, mortgage lenders. Since these banks make their money on the spread between their borrowing rates and their customers, they're making an easy killing. With each new injection of Fed money, the lenders watch their spreads soar ever higher. That's leading to record profits and insane margins. Consider this. During the decade from 2000 to 2010, mortgage banks collected an average spread on their loans of about 0.5%. Today, that spread is more than tripled to 1.6%. And that is about to send shares of one mortgage lender through the roof. I must warn you, this is a tiny company and a speculation. It measures its market cap in the millions, and yet it stands first in line to collect from a money supply explosion worth trillions of dollars. The mere announcement of QE3 caused a double-digit spike in this company's stock. In the coming months, those gains will go much higher. This tiny firm has seen revenues from new loans soar in the last 12 months. Its overall loan portfolio has ballooned 187%, and income has rocketed 137%.
Okay,
Over just 9 months, it's had to double its team of...
I'm going to stop that there. He's getting into the investment. If you want to learn about investments, you can listen to Crow. He certainly knows the stock market better than I do. I think it's all a scam, personally. But I also played that if the cash is ending, we've told you, and Keith is, I told you here, he'll be interviewing one of these cash alternatives. And I've had this up on Liberty Village's site for almost 10 years, alternative currencies. I hope you can get me the numbers so I can bring them on my show too, Keith. What do you think about you've heard here? Now, when we're getting into this investment and where you're going to put your money, this is out of my ballpark here because they've killed me economically as they have millions of Americans. We've lost our jobs, we've lost our homes, we're trying to exist, and I think the Liberty Village plan, if you've got a home now, you've got one left, turn it into an income center. Go ahead.
I would like to, before we get off, I would like to make sure that everybody knows where they can find the website. Again, it's constitutionclub.ning.com, http://constitutionclub.ning.com. There are no wwws in the URL. And once again, this evening, if you want to access the show on your computer, go to www.blogtalkradio.com/Friends of Liberty, 6 o'clock California time. And we will be speaking with Paul Glover of the Ithaca Hours program. And I think it should be a jam-packed, exciting show. I live in Riverside County here in California, and I'm going to be implementing a currency here locally for our local community. When I go to the merchants, see, one of the things that's going to ruin the merchants, when the dollars get scarce, no one's going to have any money to spend going to the restaurants and being able to purchase products within the city. So if people have an alternative currency that is not going to be impacted by the use of Federal Reserve notes, people are going to continue to be able to participate. The stores are going to be able to continue to produce profits and to be able to have a robust economy, even though Federal Reserve notes are going to be really scarce. And so I'm absolutely convinced that this is something that is going to be really well received. When I get off this call today, I'm going to be contacting the Chambers of Commerce in my area because I believe this is something that they'll be very interested in. They'll want to support this project because that's what the Chambers of Commerce are all about, helping local businesses grow.
You know, we've got 300 sheriffs around the country that are taking a stand on their oath to support the Constitution, defend the Constitution. And I think that's a good thing. I've had and been friends with Sheriff Richard Mack for many years. And 300 sheriffs around the country. If you don't have a sheriff in your county that supports this, I think we need. I think you may need to move. All right, who do we have on?
Well,
we've got a caller on from Dallas. Who do we have in Dallas?
This is David up here in Dallas. How you doing, Free American?
This is Davey in Dallas.
I've been kind of listening to the conversation. You know, I've been over here working up truck driving. Say again?
This is Davey from Dallas.
Yeah, David from Dallas.
David
yes,
from Dallas. Okay. Go ahead, David.
I just wanted to give my opinion. You know, I've been, you know, I'm almost 50 years old. I've been out here working like a racehorse, and you know, you figure things out. You learn from your lessons. You learn from your mistakes and stuff like that. You know, up here in Dallas, it's a real nice city. I mean, we've got a lot of good, hard-working people up here, and everything's running pretty smooth. The problem is these bankers are making the decisions for people, and it's not even the bankers making decisions. You walk into a bank, the computer is making the decision. We need to get away from the computers making the decision. Anytime you do a loan on something, it goes off your credit in 7 years. That's no longer on there. So all the work, a lot of people like me, I paid off 10 or 15 cars, you know, in my life, and those things don't show up on your credit anymore. They need to have a credit system where you build your own credit, where you don't even ask a banker, and basically it's almost like you have your own cash line or credit line that you build over your lifetime. That's what the problem with America is. It's not the currency or the coins or anything else. It's that the bankers are jacking us out of our labor and stealing it from us, and then not giving us credit for what we've done. And basically, what the American government's done is they stole all the work from our ancestors and just got rid of it. So all the highways and buildings and houses and all the stuff that have been built in the past are no longer being reflected into the future, into these newer generations, and they just basically wiped the slate clean, and everybody's a slave to the computer now.
Well, I refer to the computer as a double-edged sword. With it, they can control us, they can track us, they can keep track of our money, but it also gives us the ability to educate each other. So, double-edged sword, you got to use it carefully.
Well, they've got, you know, the whole thing about it is you get all these people out here that do all this work, and they don't get any credit for it. They're making the deposits. You know, banks are basically just nothing but bounce check factories now. They don't want to loan any money. Why loan anybody any money when they've got, you know, $100 in their checking account? They overdraw by 15 cents and they charge them $35 a piece. And they got, you know, 25,000 locations across the United States, and they're making, you know, $10,000 say per location at $35 a pop for bounce check fees. That's what the problem is. Why would a bank bounce a check on a person that's been doing business with them for 20 years for being 10 cents overdrawn? Does that make any sense at all?
I've just paid that out. I paid out $35 because they ran a credit card at the gas station and were $2 short and charged me $35. So, yeah, there's something wrong with that system.
That's called usury.
All right,
Yeah,
listen, David, thank you for your call. Keith, we're almost out of time here, and I want to tell you, folks.
Y'all be good.
Send me an email to clay@freeamerican.com. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you need. Tell me what you can do. Let's summarize it. I don't need your life history or anything. I need to know what you want to do. If you want to be self-sufficient, if you want to save money, this is what we're trying to put together now. Probably cost you $50 a year to join the co-op. That's what they're charging in Oklahoma, and that's a bargain with all of the research that you're going to get from us. Keith, everything's up on the website, all the links, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye now.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you being on. need to go
I
inside.
want you to know those dogs were not out long enough this morning. The minute they come in, that one's pooped on the potty pad, and that one's peed. They didn't do it outside, even though we let them out. They came in and did it. Gotta leave them out there a little longer. Let them out, leave them out for 15 minutes or so, and then they'll go.
Can I let her in?
Yeah.
Come on, hey! Stop that! Stop that! Come here! Get out! Get out now! Bandit, come on.
There. Right there. Right there. That's good. Lay down.
Bandit, come on! Get out here! Come on! Bandit, come on! You guys all go out there.
No?
Had to penalize the dogs, herd the dogs. God bless you. Have a great day. FreeAmerican.com.